There's a very simple thing that you can do during your A-level maths studies that will help you learn more during your study time. And no one ever believes me, and you don't have to either, but here goes. Only use your calculator when you really have to use it. I'm serious. But what do I mean by this? What do I mean by really having to use a calculator? Well, I mean this, that the calculation that you need to do is, for all intents and purposes, not practically possible to do without a calculator. So for example, let's say you need to calculate the solutions to three significant figures of the trigonometric equation sine x equals a quarter in the range 0 degrees less than x is less than 360 degrees, say. Then of course, you'll need a calculator to do this. On the other hand, suppose I ask you to multiply the square root of 98 over 21 by the square root of 288 over 24. This here. Should you use a calculator here? I haven't said not to use a calculator, and I haven't said that you must show you're working or anything. Potentially, I wouldn't know if you've used a calculator or not. It's entirely possible to do this calculation in your head. So there may not be any working to show anyway. But my suggestion would be not to use a calculator here, especially if you're not comfortable dealing with surd expressions, which is the excuse that a lot of people would give me. If you struggle with surds, then you absolutely need to leave your calculator to one side. Why? Because there are several opportunities here in this single calculation to practice certain skills that are so basic, yet which so many A-level math students can't handle with confidence. Simplifying surds, multiplying fractions, cancelling fractions, and so on. These skills are so basic, and yet it saddens me year after year to see A-level students who can't do these things with any level of facility. They never have, and in many cases will never develop any facility with these basic skills because they're so habituated to just sticking everything in their calculator so that the calculator can do the work for them. And then no wonder these individuals struggle with more advanced skills. Yet in many cases, there's no telling them. Even after repeatedly being told about the damage that they're inflicting upon themselves, they continue to do it and then complain that they struggle with more complex problems. And it might seem like using a calculator should speed things up, right? And in a sense it will do, in the same way that it's faster for me to drive the car the 3 miles or so into the city centre from my home than to walk there. But what if time is not the real issue here? What if I really need to be walking because I need to get more exercise and I'm not bothered about how long it takes me? What you'll find through not using the calculator is that you start to carry out certain simple calculations automatically, manipulating surd expressions or whatever, and with greater speed in some cases than you can put these numbers into your calculator anyway. And not only that, you start to notice patterns much more easily and can keep your momentum going much better when you're trying to solve problems. Every time you go and grab the calculator, you're breaking your momentum. And I'm not just talking about number patterns here. I'm talking about your ability to identify potentially very abstract patterns more generally is improved over time. And being able to identify patterns is a fundamental skill for anyone who wants to be successful as a mathematician. And now when it comes to deciding whether to use your calculator, you have to judge honestly whether you think that the calculator is needed or not. If you're unsure, then try to do the calculation without first. Start with the assumption that you don't need to use a calculator, and then once you're satisfied that the calculation is genuinely not possible without a calculator, or that it's just too lengthy, then go ahead, use the calculator. However, if you're just being lazy, then you only have yourself to blame when you never grasp some of the basic techniques. And one thing that really grinds my gears is when teachers in schools, maths teachers, who should know better, say things like, "Your calculator is your friend." to the students in their class. I kid you not. I was trying to explain to one of my students a few months ago how his over-reliance on a calculator was a bad thing for his progress. And he said that his teacher had made this ridiculous comment to the class. I nearly fell off my chair, off the chair that I was sitting on. I mean, what kind of a thing is that to say? And I'd really question the credentials of any maths teacher who said something so ridiculous like this to a class of GCSE or A-level maths students, because that person clearly has no understanding of mathematics. It just has incompetence written all over it. But anyway, this simple thing, limiting your use of a calculator, has such a massive positive impact on your mathematics development. Do you believe me? It's your call.